So off we go. Nowadays, we can see that all around the world, the democracy is in decrease, the rule of law and human rights are in decrease. So there is no doubt that lawyers, judges, judicial associations should fight for those things. And these are the things we as lawyers, as judges care about. But we have to fight for them in a way that would lead others to join us. And that is exactly the question of effective communication of judicial association. But what is it, a communication? For sure, it is not an end in itself. Communication is only a tool to execute the strategy of association. Where we can find strategy? In a statute of association, in decisions of a main board, also in decisions of annual meeting of all members of association. So there we can find the strategic goals of association, and communication is a tool that should make those goals visible, accessible and understandable for the public. The crucial thing is that you have to be consistent with the communication. So one of speech during the annual meeting given by the president of association is not enough. One interview given to TV or radio is also not enough. You have to do your communication on a daily basis. To do so, it has to be understandable among all the levels of association structures. What I mean is that every member in association, every judge should know the strategy of communication, should understand it, and should identify with it. Uh, Also, what is very important is that your communication is visible on a daily basis. For example, in Justitia, we have these wall calendars with our slogan written, our logo, our association colors. So every time I enter my office, every day, I can see the logo, the slogan, and it really keeps me motivated to take action every day. So you have to be consistent and build the communication in a long run. What is also very important is that you have to be aware of uh, who are you talking to, and we can divide the audience into three main groups. First group will be civic society, citizens, and here you should keep the language really simple and be more like educational and talking in a way that builds connection between audience, their daily life, and your goals. Second group would be politicians and decision makers. And every time, for example, when associations is giving an opinion on bill or presenting its own draft bill, as Justitia did, for example, you have to do it in the way that shows politicians the advantages that they get from accepting your proposals. And a second group are judges. As I said before, the internal communication is really important for the success of the association's communication as a whole, because as I explained before, every member of association must understand and identify. I'm sorry for identify with the goals and strategy of the communication. So to put it in a simple words, a good narrative, good messaging is like a relay race when runners are passing the stick to one another. So effective messaging is like the stick, and it's passed from one audience to another, on and on and on again, and it's starting to circulate really intense in a public discussion. And by this, your narrative, your communication is starting to play a really important role in a public discussion. How to do it? First of all, you have to ask yourself a questions. What do you fight for? What are your values? And then, when you know it, you have to build a vision and emotions that would make your narrative, your messaging, uh, simply just attractive to the audience. I can totally agree with what Barbara has said, that you have to share your story, you have to tell your dreams. Uh, it is not enough just to raise awareness of the problem by saying that rule of law is more and more in danger, that independency of court is uh, decreasing. Uh, you have to show your audience that, of course, we have a problem, but we also know how to solve it, and the solution is tangible, and that the change is possible to be done. So you have to be like bringing your audience from fear to hope, and from problem to solution. And doing it, you have to try to build your vision by constructing a bridge between you and your audience. For example, when you're trying to explain the role of independent courts for citizens, you can say that courts are made to serve citizens, and they are obliged to control politicians, whether they are spending the public money on the good education for your kids or good health care for your parents. So you can see that here we are building this connection between the independency of courts and things that people are worried about in their daily life, because everyone wants good education, everyone cares about good healthcare. I'm sorry. So it's really important to show that your values and your audience's values are in fact your shared values. What is more important, that it's not enough just to be reactive. It's not enough to say that your opponents are not right, because when you're, for example, saying that judges are not politically engaged, or you're saying that rule of law is not in danger, what you do is basically you're parroting your opponent's narrative, and by doing this you are reinforcing it. So it's as I said before, talking about the problem is not enough. Um, you have to show your audience that the solution is there, you know it, and it's tangible. Um, One thing that the research has shown is that you really have to keep the language simple, because people do not understand sentences which are built of more than 13 words. I know it's really hard for lawyers to abandon these professional slogans. Believe me, I've been there, but it really pays off. So we have to keep the sentences really short and just using this basic language. It all sounds like a very challenging thing to do, and in fact, it is challenging, and that is why teamwork really, really matters. Um, in Justitia, we have a spokesperson who is responsible for shaping the narrative along with the main board. We have one person who is responsible for coordinating the content which is given on the specific channels of communication. And we have 4 editorial offices. One is for Facebook, second Instagram, X, and website. And in those offices, which are built from 1 to 4 judges, We are working on a weekly basis. So every week there's one judge who is responsible for creating and putting content on a specific channel. It really is challenging because, of course, in the first place, we are mothers, fathers, judges, and the communication is something that we do really after hours. So teamwork is here very important because you have to support each other. You have to be really engaged even if it's not your week to work on a specific channel. And though you can really have this effective and successful communication that you and your association will be proud of, and that is exactly what we have in Justitia, because even last year the value of reach of our coverages was 39 million euro, and we basically didn't spend €1. So this hard teamwork really pays off because, as you can see, for example, our reach of coverages last year in TV was over 400 million viewers. So I strongly believe that your association can have this successful and effective communication. If you have any inquiries, don't hesitate to ask questions. And Justitia would be really honored to be able to share our experience with you. Thank you very much for your attention.